Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And a very pleasant good Friday evening to you, and welcome into Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network on a baseball Friday night super is underway all across the country. At least one half of what will be the College World Series bracket getting underway today. The other half will start tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. They are hoping to play baseball a little bit later on tonight in Gainesville, where South Carolina and Florida will begin their super regional. We hope Game 1, we will get an update on that because they are currently in a weather delay. All the details coming up with Phil Kornblut live in Gainesville here in just a couple of moments. 888-898-2525 if you'd like to join us here this evening. Again, 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. I'm Chris Bergen over here in the PD, as Phil likes to point out, in Sardis. Not quite in Sardis, but close enough. We will catch up with Matt Smith, who'll be pinch hitting with us tonight in just a couple of moments. Graham Pope filling in for Pat Daniel tonight back home in our Columbia studios. And so with that out of the way, all the housekeeping out of the way, let us send it down to Gainesville and welcome in the fourth member of the Sports Talk broadcast team here tonight in Gainesville, where hopefully at some point in time this evening, South Carolina and Florida will get underway as we say hello to Phil Kornblut, because, Korn, they are not playing baseball as we speak. And one more time for the Corn. And 2, 3, 4. Well, he was Robot Corn during the break just a minute ago, so we're hoping to get to a real live factual Corn here in
Chris,
just a
it sounds
second.
like he's muted himself here behind the scenes. So I'm trying. I have mild technical difficulties behind the scenes, and I'm trying to pick him up. So give me just a moment to see if I can grab him.
No problem. That means we get to bring in our ace reliever out of the bullpen, who fills in when Corn is not available, and evidently he's not available right now. As we say hello to our good friend over in Georgetown, Matt Smith. Smitty, hopefully you sound much better than Corn.
I am so happy to be here, Chris. What a great night for baseball. And by the way, I think Corn may have thought this was the closed caption portion of the show. He's actually doing sign language at the moment. But we'll catch up. Chris, I'm so excited. You texted all of us as soon as the Duke-Virginia game ended. And I love this time of year. I know everyone's favorite postseason tournament is March Madness and NCAA basketball tournament. Get it. And I get into it just like everybody else does. But I love this. And look, obvious bias. I love the game of baseball. I'm a bit of a seamhead. But Duke, Virginia, super regional, conference foes. They already don't like each other. Virginia comes in, the better club, at home at Davenport Field. But Duke is one of those teams, and you saw it firsthand with your own two eyes at Springbrook Stadium. There's something going on with this Blue Devils team. They took 2 of 3 at Virginia earlier this season. They've got great pitching, great starting pitching, great pitching out of the pen. Something about this timely hitting, right? Because Damon Lux, their number 9 hitter, hit a home run, a 2-run homer to get them out front. You weren't even surprised that happened. Then they're able to close the game out, 5-4 victory, because then Tyler Albright goes and makes a leaping catch at the warning track. And it's one of those funny things. I believe with every fiber of my being, Virginia is the better club. They're the better team. But the way Duke is playing right now, would anybody be shocked if they didn't go out and do this again, even on the road, and beat Virginia? There's just something about conference foes. I know you talk about cliches, throw the records out. I really think that actually applies in this unique situation. I think Duke and Virginia, even though, like I said, Cavaliers, better club on paper, better team. I feel like it's toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose, eyelash to eyelash with these two.
There's a lot more I want to get into with you about the Super Regional that has concluded. Duke and Virginia 5-4 victory for the Blue Devils. They are now 1 win away from heading to Omaha. Meantime, they are away a couple of innings deep in TCU taking on the guys from Indiana State. TCU actually hosting that game. Indiana State seed, and Indiana State actually the home team, though they trail after 3-0 to TCU. Long ball playing a big factor there. Coming up later on tonight, Oral Roberts will play at Oregon to round out, and then, of course, we'll find out what happens with South Carolina and Florida. And on the ground in Gainesville, we think we have reconnected with the Corn, so let's get an update on where things stand as we speak from Florida. Phil Kornblut, good evening, sir.
Hey, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to call in. I don't know. I just saw a big old bolt of lightning go above my head, so I don't know if I want to touch anything electronically or not. Are we back in on a landline?
Grant, I'll let you make sounds
yeah, very muted, Corn. Unless you can turn your volume up, you have to call in, buddy.
All right, stand by 1 second.
All right, well,
Is that any improvement for you guys?
No,
not at all.
There we go. All right. We'll get Phil corrected. You would think, Smitty, in all the years that Phil's been around radio, he'd understand how it works. But evidently that's not the case. So I wanted to ask you something about Duke because I bring up a fascinating point about them. And their win today really did surprise me what I've seen out of that club. But I wonder how much you talk about special going on in Durham. And I think you met that guy is the inspirational leader in the middle of the order. At 4 homes this past weekend in the regional down in Conway. He was 2 for 4 today. And doing all this on the 28th year, actually got hurt late in the season, celebrating Duke hits home runs like they're going out of style. I think he provided something that needed him. And I think his career, time 3, Trinity University in Texas, transferred into his last shot to perhaps make the college World Series. I think they're beating off him. I really do.
I look, nothing about baseball would tell you that momentum should count, right? It shouldn't be an emotional game. It's more about, the starting pitching matters so much. You see players so often they regress to the mean, right? A guy goes 3 for 4, but he's a 250 hitter. Well, the next day he goes 0 for 4. That's what we see over and again. But there is something about baseball, which is what we love, right? Field of Dreams music. It just seems there's a guttural, visceral element to baseball. And you just said MJ Metz might be providing that for Duke, that undercurrent of emotion. And there's something about being tough in the batter's box, that you hold the rope, don't let each other down. And every year we see somebody ride a magic wave into the College World Series all the way to Omaha. I don't know that Duke's going to be that team because, to be honest with you, I would bet, which I am, I bet on Virginia tomorrow. Sure. I think they're better. I just think they're a better club. But you really hate to go against a team, as you mentioned, like Duke, that seemingly is doing everything right. You've got guys, like I mentioned, Tyler Albright running balls down in the gap, and I don't know if that would have been a homer, but it would have been Virginia would have won the game, frankly, because that would have been a gapper. They would have scored 2 runs with 2 outs. And yet here we are, and Duke just happens to make that catch, right? I don't know if it's made if this game is in March, but it's made here in June. We see every year. Gamecocks is what I'm talking about, because I think the 2 Gamecocks were going to win the College World Series, but just something happened with Skyward Company doing everything right and playing for each other, and Duke has that look about them right now.
Now, what's remarkable about Duke, 2 things. First of all, they still win 40 games. That was just their 30th win. And secondly, they're unique in the battle order. They get on the production 17. That's where all 4 of the guys they got with 5. I only got 4 guys. They all from the 17th and 19th hitters in their order. You can't breathe with that team. And Virginia, as good a pitching staff as they have, and I would agree with you, Smitty, tomorrow, I still think they probably win, but it would not shock me if it goes against them because they've already out of 3 from the All right, that game is done. And Indiana State away as we speak. Top half opening it there. Tonight, Roberts to play. And also, should have gotten another South Carolina, Florida, the regional positioned. Phil Clinton out gains around left and right, trying to avoid that corn on the phone. So, give us an update on how speak.
Well, 3 times a charm. I tried to do things the fancy way, and they didn't cooperate. So we just go back to the old-fashioned phone line way, and I guess this is as good as any way to talk to you. It's good to be with you from here in Gainesville, where another lightning strike just occurred. Now, I don't know if they are incorporating these lightning strikes into the delay. Typically, if you're into a game, and you know this, Chris and Smitty, from covering games, if you're in a game and a delay and there's a lightning strike, the clock starts over again for 30 more minutes. I don't know if they're incorporating these strikes into this current delay or not. As I look to, and I don't know what direction it is, because I don't know exactly the surroundings here, which way I'm pointing. Like right now over the ballpark, it's drizzling. It's definitely dark, overcast. As I look back here, back towards, I think I'm looking back towards the campus, there is some clearing, and I think it's moving this way, and I think that's what they're counting on. It's moving slowly. There is some clearing. I see blue skies and some puffy white clouds on the way here. So it's going to be a little while. Then, of course, you got to get the field prepped. The tarp is on the field. It is still raining, and it's coming down pretty good right now. The tarp is on the field. The outfield has been exposed. Of course, there's nothing they can do about that. This being a new stadium, I'm sure it's got the latest technology for drainage, so that will help. But you know it's going to be a wet outfield. It's going to be sloppy. How is that going to impact outfielders chasing down balls, going after fly balls, and getting good throws on a wet baseball? So we got all these things to consider once this game gets underway. I think their intent, of course, is to get this thing underway at some point tonight. Right now, what is it? We're approaching about 6:30 or so. I can't foresee this game starting within an hour, if not longer. I mean, I'm no expert on those kind of things. Again, I do see clearing off of the horizon, and it seems to be moving this way, but it's going to be a while. So we wait for the Gamecocks and the Gators to get it underway here in what will be their 4th meeting of the year. The Gamecocks won the first 3 in Columbia, but this Florida team says they have flushed that, and they are a different team. South Carolina feels like they have flushed a bad May, and they feel like they're a new, rejuvenated team, even more healthy than when they played Florida the first time around. Remember, they had no Will McGillis when they played Florida and swept the Gators. I think he was just recently hurt prior to that series, so that was part of the time when he was sitting out. They've got him back now as the DH, and you look at the starting Brandon Sproat, who is 7-3 with a 4.70 ERA. And for the Gamecocks tonight, it's going to be James Hicks, who's been as good as anybody of late, and he is 8-1 with a 3.32 ERA. This is a sellout. They sold their tickets for this super regional, within about 20 minutes. People are here. They're milling around. Some people are sitting out on the hills. This stadium, it's got stands. Of course, it's got a big grandstand behind home plate, a double-deck grandstand behind home plate with a cover over the upper deck. If this were a hot, sunny day, that'd be nice. And then down the baselines, you've got one level of stands going up down both baselines. But then the stands will end both ways, and you've got a running hill that makes the turn at the left field corner, the right field corner, and you've got, hills, berms, whatever you want to call them. And I imagine that they sell tickets on those, and I see people sitting on those berms right now. And on a decent weather day, those things would be filled up. They get about 7,000 in here for a full house. So we'll see how many people do turn out tonight as they wait to get this game in. No telling when. Again, I do see some promising clearing skies off of the horizon there. just don't know how long it's going to take for that to get on top of us here.
Well, remember, don't pay all that this is voluntary and sort of grounds for us. We don't pay you.
You'll have to look at the my collective says I get paid just by showing up. I don't have to sign anything or say anything.
The corn check back in about 15. Get another update. Okay. From we will continue checking in with him, but as of right on the base to get started at 6, do so. Speaking of back, I've got a bone to pick with these. We often do, but just the day has been really, really poor. So we'll get into that. Your phone calls, well, you like one from this 982525. Back after this.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Dumpster Plus is your solution to a more cost-effective and professional worksite. Dumpster Plus provides a roll-off dumpster and a porta-john in one. Give them a call at 803-500-5094 and ask them about 2 services for the price of one. It's 1 call, 1 delivery, 2 services. Locally owned and operated in Columbia, and that means you'll talk to a real live local person, ready to get what you need with a 24-hour turnaround guarantee. Whether your worksite is residential or commercial, big or small, near or far, you'll save money with Dumpster Plus. Waste management solutions never look so good. Call Dumpster Plus at 803-500-5094. That's 803-500-5094 for Dumpster Plus.
Hi, I'm Jim Corbett. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years. There's one thing I've learned about injury cases. It's you need the personal touch. You need the lawyer to get to know you and describe your damages. You don't want a case manager talking to an insurance company, then talking to you, and then talking to maybe to a lawyer with limited experience at the last minute to try to settle a case. I talk to you. I find out what your case is about. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com for your injury cases.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
Friday night, busy show for you. We'll keep checking in with Corn on the progress of the Gators and Gamecocks as we move through the program here tonight. Plus, Lou Bashak set to join us from the state newspaper just after 6:30. Big story out today. Actually, it took place yesterday, but the South Carolina lawmakers have decided they are not going to, at least for now, step in the middle of the South Carolina High School League and the charter and private school debate. So we'll get Scoop's take on that. He wrote the story a bit earlier today, so we'll get his thoughts on that just after 6:30. We'll go racing with Jeff Owens in the fast lane right after 7 o'clock. And also tonight on a Friday, of course, it is Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps, George Bryan III, and we'll also catch up with Robbie Thames just after 7:30. I would imagine those guys have just a little bit to discuss here tonight, so we'll do that after 7:30. I want to take your phone calls as well while we have some time at 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, and let's do that right now. Head off to the phones and kick things off tonight with Andy in Columbia. Good evening, Andy. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Good evening, fellas. Hope y'all are doing well.
We are doing tremendous. We're dry, which makes us obviously in a whole lot better position than Corn's in right now down in Gainesville.
Well, and that puts us in a bad position because we have to hear from him more since the game's not in play at the moment. I even told Graham if he could keep him off of air the rest of the night, I'd double his pay.
Ooh. So the Andy Collective would put some money into the Graham Pope Collective.
Exactly.
Which I'll gladly accept. Thank you, Andy.
What's that?
I said, which I'll gladly accept. Thank you very much.
Yeah, more than welcome. Couple of things. I had a trivia question I wanted to throw out yesterday, but with Corn talking so much, we were never able to get on. So maybe one of y'all could answer this question, even though I wanted to throw it at Corn, but it'll be a little bit too late before I can ask him. Could you tell me what yesterday was in significance to New York Yankee history?
No, I'll have to throw that over to our baseball expert since I'm not a Yankees fan, so no. So, Smitty, you got a clue?
No, let's see. June 8th. I really have no idea. Did it have something to do with Lou Gehrig?
No.
Well, I give up then.
June 8th, 1969. Mickey Mantle Day. Number 7 was retired at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Well, I do.
And who wants to bet that Corn
res-
didn't know that answer?
I do respect Mickey Mantle so much. Even as a Dodger fan, I hold Mickey Mantle in high regard. Well, now that I know that, Andy, I will go have a martini in his honor after the game, after the show tonight.
I hope it's a very dry one.
Yeah. Andy, speaking of days, at least, I was going to bring this up, but I was going to bring it up in a slow moment, but I'll bring it up now, even though we've got so much going on. But today is Dave Parker's 72nd birthday. And I don't know if you're old enough to have remembered Dave Parker, the Cobra, but he was one of my favorite players, 2-time batting champion, big-time arm and right, won 3 Gold Gloves, won titles with both Pittsburgh and Oakland. I am a big Dave Parker fan, and because he's not a Hall of Famer, I don't think he gets his due. So I did want to mention it's the Cobra's 72nd birthday.
He had an arm on him, and he had a quick bat. Now, my cousin actually met him up in Chicago one time they were up there on a trip, and he's not a very friendly man. He pretty much told my cousin, I won't say it on air because we'll never, ever be able to be on air again. But, pretty much get out of here, but not such nice words.
Well, that didn't help him get. I guess that's one of the reasons he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's not much of the politics.
Okay. One reason maybe one thing I think our South Carolina legislature should look at more than bother with high school is maybe sports betting. Now that North Carolina has legalized sports betting, it might be it's time for us to come out of the dark ages, but we never will. But Georgia's probably going to have legalized sports gambling.
Mm-hmm.
I would think within the next year. Are we going to be the ones that were the opposite of having a lottery and everybody coming across to our state to play the lottery? And now everybody's going to be going out of our state to bet on sports?
I can answer that, yes, they will, because you're right. When North Carolina realized, I firmly believe the reason North Carolina has a state lottery is because we have a state lottery, and they didn't want to lose all the tax revenue down to South Carolina. Same thing here. As soon as the bordering states anywhere, it doesn't just have to be us, but the bordering states start to get legalized sports gambling, you're exactly right. I can almost promise you South Carolina will institute it because we can't afford not to. First off, you can't legislate people from themselves. You can't protect folks from themselves. They'll gamble. If they want to sports gamble, do you want them to do it here so our state benefits, much like the lottery, or do you want them to do it in Georgia and North Carolina where those states can benefit?
Hey, all you have to do is get an app and get a VPN, and you can do whatever you want from home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't imagine, Andy, and appreciate the call to Smitty. I can't imagine we won't if North Carolina and Georgia both get it.
it's going to be an interesting debate when the time comes, because I know it's not an easy debate for a state like ours. But what I've always believed is not that sports betting should be outlawed, but betting on the Lions, the Detroit Lions, should be outlawed. That isn't a game for anybody.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Tomorrow, with sunny skies until midnight. Afternoon, we have to remain for after we can brand Pardon me, ma'am. You interested in lowering energy usage? Did you know that the opportunity cooling rate up to 16 that's a lot of yes. And if your system fails and you need to replace any for starters, your equipment must be energy qualified. That's a good thing. Go to DominionEnergySC.com and DominionEnergySC.com it is. To the restrictions. That's right. Zahn is reporting viral indictment against uses the former president of the league reporting classified documents that is global state record in the White House in 2021 and then lying to support governments to recover them. Justice Department has brought 7 counts against Trump in their indictment, lying about photographs and text messages between first pronoun words, those of his lawyers, and the chief suspect in the 2005 disputes of Natalie has pleaded not guilty to charges that he tried to extort Washington's mother in exchange for stealing one of her daughter's donations. On Wall Street, about 3 points as of 20, the S&P advanced. This is FR News. Hi, Chris Neely from the South Carolina Public School District. Monday afternoon at 5:30 as a team of Kids First, local issue facing our schools, pointing out positive with students and teachers. Kids First, Mondays at 5 on the phone. I enjoy South Carolina, but it helps Burbank. Oh, also, Columbia Folks offers wonderful paradise in June. And bring up new party discounted to $20 from the 20th through the 24th. Visit PetFinder.com to choose a new friend. That's PetFinder.com and animal. Hi, this is Kevin Cohen. It's a unique radio station. We have a bunch of corporate sponsors and not part of the local group of 5 or 6 corporate radio stations. Locally owned and locally operated stations. We think community first. We're all about local. If your small business owner, well, be my honor. Down, talk about your business with the help of the If you consider radio advertising, it works, especially to radio. Our listeners trust us. They our advertising. Just affordable ads on TV. Look at something for a customized pack that fits your needs. I'm not corporate. I'm just Kev. Call me 563-8558. Tell me at pointradio.com. 563-8558 or my email address kev@makepointradio.com. Let's sit down. Let's talk about let's talk about seeing if we can grow together. It's just a combination. What premium stuff for? It's that time of year. It's off water. Don't know. Weekend. You got great sticks. Neither bottles. Come on. Refill the door. Or just pull up the update for a smoke of the orange. A fully knowledgeable stuff with help. You can honestly these our friends for welcome to the answer your questions. For 14 call program
Friday night here on Sports Talk Media Network from all over the Southeast. A lot of folks here in South Carolina. Graham, Smitty, and myself. Also have Phil Kornblut stationed down in Gainesville. We'll check back in for the latest on the Gamecocks and Gators. Game 1 of the Super Regionals set to begin at 6. They're currently in a weather delay. Lou Bezek set to join us in just a couple of moments as well. We will catch up with Jeff Owens and also do some golf talk before we wrap things up here tonight. 888-898-2525 is the phone line. If you'd like to get on board with us here this evening, your thoughts about the Super Regionals to this point. And speaking of which, down in Gainesville, they are watching it rain. So far, so bad, if you will. And we check back in with Phil Kornblut. What's the latest, Phil? We're getting closer to baseball tonight.
Unfortunately, I would say no. It is raining maybe even harder than it was last time we talked. And clearly, I'm not just by innings. And it's clearly up there on the horizon, but it has moved to the stadium. So I don't know what's going on with that. It's down pretty good right now. On the scoreboard says 6 shelter, and it's permitted to the stadium to see with caution. So they're trying to necessarily around, and some people aren't. And I'd like to tell you, there's still coming down to so let up in sight. We're hoping for that baseball tonight, and I feel like we're pulling it for the play tonight. We just don't know. And we do. So leading up to the two seasons, it's pretty amazing how competitive the Gators have been. In baseball for the Eagles, South Carolina leads the outside series 4-50. And so they just 3 games by the Gators early in the season. And we picked up this year compared to some of the notes, some of the playing. It's pretty much a wash between them. Is a little bit higher average, and they hit 2 more home runs. But that's pretty inevitable. The Gators are the team with 2.5 Gamecock 275. Okay, that's fairly significant. But I'm 126 to 115. The Gamecocks have a 5-4 something finish against 5-4. Gamecocks 57 Gators and 66. ERA Gamecocks Gators. So much about the Gators. Overall ERA 4.1 6-1. Gamecocks 592. 624. Gamecocks fewer. The Gamecocks around 190. The Gators 63. 23-24 was Gamecocks series. Do you remain patient like you were back at the Gators strikes and run the risk of pulling the outcounts? Don't you come out there and attack the zone? Because the Florida pitch is in between blanks, and you got to think it's going to come out. Do you come loose and you from the first pitch?
It's a great question. That's why I'm and all those guys and his big bucks gets back there and a second guess him. We will get back up at the top of the hour, still closer to baseball.
Yes, sir. I'll be right here, and I'll get the latest report. It's all about a little bit after.
All right, but Cantori from Gainesville. Smitty, I don't know. One time you just back right what happens? You turn into something super regional, or you have to pass Brian games tomorrow. And who that benefit does that hurt? I don't know what would happen if it's rained out. What happened? I just not sure what the team's backup plan is for that. You're already said when you're in SEC, you are supposed to start Thursday. You cannot play on Thursday. rather, you cannot play on Sunday. Sure, the NCAA is restricted by the rules. However, World Series is starting next weekend. Got a heck of a if you want to know what the plan would be if they got some push this series back into Monday.
Who lives in Florida, honestly? Come on. But as to what they will do, I think it depends quickly they want to. I think it really depends on the radar, because if you got started early enough, and I don't double like bylaws on the potential header regional. They may have some rules, 24-hour rules and such, and I don't know. But I would guess just from common sense, AA is not famous for employing, but if you can start it at noon, you could do it day night better without problem. If it's all night and then rain, into early afternoon, then you might try a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, especially on Monday from the other regionals, from the other side of the bracket. Now that this one, but that is, yes. As far as how aggressive they will be against Gator pitching, I think it's going to be aggressive. This time of year, you're not going to beat a lot of teams by, hoping to mistake and make some mistakes and getting ahead 2-0. I think it's aggressive in the zone. They attack the zone. You still have to stay disciplined. Just know how all umpires operate, especially if this game, let's say this game starts late into tonight. I expect a generous outside corner. So I'd say the zone is going to be the game plan. You don't get college walking. You've got to hit your way there. That's been the way it worked in the past, because umpires from all over the country, and they're not likely to let you walk all night and
right.
The game's moving, and they're a little bit more generous, often low and away and up and in than you get during conference play.
When you play game play critically important, you've heard this before about the game worth noting. In the NCAA tournament Super Regional, 79% of teams in game one. That's Omaha. James is a huge start. And with him, when that may take place. Get back to the field. Also racing with Jeff said 7 of 5 tonight. But in addition to the Gamecocks and Gators, there's another big story that we've talked about before, and it looks like the South Carolina State House not quite ready to tackle it head on and may want to kick it down the road a little bit further. That's the ongoing, I don't know if battle is a fair assessment, but the ongoing debate between the South Carolina High School League and how to deal with fair play concerns regarding charter and private schools. And so far, the lawmakers not really ready to tackle that hurdle. And joining us now on the phone lines, good friend of the program, the state's prep sports coordinator. We like to call him Scoop because he gets so many things before anybody else does. We welcome Lou Paychak back to Sports Talk on this Friday evening. Lou, how you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Appreciate the time tonight. Before we get into your story about the South Carolina High School League, you got any insight as to whether or not they're going to play baseball down in Gainesville tonight?
They're going to try. I know that. I was talking to our guy, Mike Lanana, who's there, and it doesn't look good right now. I thought things might be moving away, but I think it's still raining there and then the lightning, and so I don't know. And I don't know what time you wait till. If there's a window, a 3-4 hour window, you got to get that field dry. I mean, the tarp's been on the field, so, I mean, that should be all right. But just is the outfield all right? And just how late would you start it? I mean, is it 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? So we'll see. I don't think they would play a doubleheader. I think they would try and just do Friday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, just weather permitting. But we'll see. I don't think they're opposed to doing doubleheader. I mean, they did it. I mean, last week with the if necessary games and stuff like that.
Sure.
With the rain, LSU had to do some. So I mean, it happens. So. Hopefully they get game in, and we'll see if the Gamecocks continue their just a heck of a weekend last weekend with their hitting and pitching. So we'll see if they can punch their ticket to Omaha this weekend.
All right, so no clarity on whether or not Game 1 of the Super Regional between the Gators and Gamecocks will take place tonight. Yesterday, it appears there's going to be no clarity anytime soon with regards to the South Carolina High School League dealing with charter and private schools. Catch us up on what happened at the State House yesterday and how that's going to impact high school athletics, at least for this upcoming season.
Yeah, what happened a few weeks ago, I think it was last month, the House of Representatives voted, I forget what the exact number was, maybe 64-46, something like that, in favor of putting the proviso on as part of the budget, which I think was ratified yesterday, just that would give the high school league power to deal with competitive balance issues. As far as as it stands now, with the proviso, you basically have to treat everyone the same. So if you say, hey, this team has to move up, it has to be effective for everyone. But that proviso that got approved said, hey, the high school league, if they want to move up all the charter schools, if they want to create a multiplier or whatever, they can do it. And they got that approval. It just had to go through the second part yesterday, which was at the Ways and Means the committee, and it was voted 2-1, not again, to keep it off the budget for this year. So basically, the high school is kind of, their hands are tied. I mean, they can't do anything that, because of the lawsuit a few years ago and everything, they feel they don't have the power to that this proviso that has been in effect, that they don't have the power to just make their own, make the charters, make the rules. I mean, say like I said, if you want to do a multiplier, if you want to move, say, hey, all the charter and private schools have to play up a classification. They can't do that right now. So we'll see. I talked to Russell Ott today, who was put the bill on the thing. He was not surprised about that not getting approved yesterday. He kind of felt, I mean, he feels the frustration and everything. He just hopes, and it comes in a point where they won't tackle this again till possibly January. There might be some stuff in the interim. I know Susan Erickson is having some meetings